Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we all have been waiting for. It is time to finally review the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Let's check it out! What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and it is finally time to review the game that we have been waiting all year for. The game that we have hunted, searched, theorized about for over a year has finally come to the climactic point. The remake of the original Spyro games is here. So let's take a dive into this review. Now, we can't review this game like every other game because it is a remake of the original story. Nothing has been taken away or added in terms of story. Even 95% of the lines the characters say are pretty much the same, with very few changes here or there. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy is a remake, remaster plus, remake light, whatever you want to call it, of the original 3 games of the original Spyro the Dragon franchise, which premiered in the 90s and continued into the early 2000s. The games had gotten critical acclaim and was considered one of the best platformers of its time. The first games were made by Insomniac Games exclusively for the PlayStation 1, but now with Toys for Bob at the helm, they have brought back the Dragon Realms, Avalar, and the Forgotten Realms. So right off the hop, in my heart, this game is a 10 out of 10. The amount of nostalgia that I felt while playing this brought me to tears, and I have never cried at a game before. But I need to look at this game with an open and unbiased mind, because I could go on about how perfect it is and neglect the negatives, but I need to make sure that I try to be as fair as possible. I will give a score for each individual game and also give the pros and cons. Let's get into it. For starters, across the board, the graphics of this game is absolutely phenomenal, right from when you boot it up in the Spyro the Dragon to when you finish off the Sorceress in Spyro 3. The graphics are absolutely breathtaking. There are many times where I enter a stage and I just pause to take a look around. The amount of detail that is added is just absolutely outstanding, and I can say I have not played a game in this style that makes me feel the way I do about it. The skyboxes are brilliant and bright. The textures in the ground are fantastic. Even the grass looks and feels so perfect. Almost every aspect from the level design to the main characters looks and feels perfect. When you walk into the game, it's really unlike any gameplay footage that you have seen. When you start to move around, you really begin to immerse yourself into the world. You begin to wander around to simply looking at everything and just wanting to explore more. When you 100% a level, you sometimes feel a small pang of sadness as you have to leave that level. It really is that good. In terms of level design, there's not one level that I thought was bad in terms of design. Everything felt just right, nostalgic, and balanced. The character design is another feature that Toys for Bob did a fantastic job on. Sprou's design is perfectly balanced between cute and feisty.
And don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks? Plummeting into prehistoric glaciers?
Oh, that.
Tom Kenny's performance really shines through here, especially in Spyro 1, as he replaced the original voice actor. This was a way for Kenny to really develop Spyro's voice and style and allowed it to carry over into the next 2 games. Out of all 3 games, the character design that shined out the most was in the first game. The amount of love and care that went into designing the dragons was nothing short but impeccable. Every character has a unique design and personality that brings new life to the Dragon Realms. But that doesn't mean that the character designs in the other 2 games aren't good either. Hunter at first is jarring, but as you play through you begin to like the new take. Allura is practically perfect from start to finish in terms of design and voice acting. Crush and Gulp now have much more personality and seem much more than just mindless underlings to Ripto. Speaking of, Greg Berger's new take on Ripto is more sinister than his previous, and it works with his new design. Bianca, in my opinion, is vastly improved from the original in terms of design and even voice. However, I can't say the same for the Sorceress. The Sorceress's design is fine, but the voice is still not quite what I had hoped. I will say, however, that her voice grew on me the more I played, so I didn't quite dislike it, I just preferred the original better. The side mission characters from Spyro 3 are also really good in terms of design. And yes, I am one of the people who really like Sheila's new take. The dynamic track is something that is so well put together and I love it. Most songs are just as good as Stuart Copeland's, with very few tracks that underperform. The dynamic themes really do add such an atmospheric vibe to the games and makes you feel more immersed into the worlds. But now, this is where we get to see the games separate from each other in terms of quality. Almost all the cinematics are so well animated and look great. Some are absolutely hysterical and had me laughing. The animations are so well done, especially in the first and third game. I sadly have to say that yes, almost all of Spyro 2's animations look good, but there are a few spots where they do look a little rough. Nothing major, however. Almost all the side characters are absolutely fantastic and both look and sound great, but some character designs are a little bit of a miss. This rings true in Spyro 2. Some designs are just a bit off and or don't look quite right. Sometimes small charms have been missed, like the professor's idol's nose and ahas, or a joke was not quite executed right or maybe entirely missed.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Oh, there's Romeo. You can have this. I don't need it anymore.
This does not happen often, but it does occur from time to time. But this is coming from someone who has played the game before. Fresh eyes to the game may think differently. Spyro's mechanics across all three games feel smooth and spot on. Just about everything feels right and coordinated. The only thing that I can think of that felt wrong was a little issue in Spyro 2 and 3. Sometimes the hover felt a little bit off, and you would either make the ledge with much more than you thought to spare, or you think that you would have it clear and don't quite make it. This was an issue sometimes in the original as well, so that may have carried over. The game also felt slightly harder than the originals and not quite as forgiving, but this balances out because the controls feel a lot sharper, so the extra difficulty feels fine. But once in a while, the game feels easier as well because of the new sharper controls, so expect certain areas that were really easy, maybe a little harder, and some that were harder, a bit easier. Now, just about everything in the game through and through is beautiful and fantastic, but there is one reoccurring issue that I found: minor visual bugs. This was not prominent in Spyro 1. Yeah, you would see a floating gem here or there, or maybe you thought you hit something and it missed, or the other way around where you thought it missed but it hit, but these issues did not happen in Spyro 1 often enough to really even register. However, in the other two, it did sometimes glitch, maybe twice or 3 times a level, and it's a little bit more prominent in Spyro 2. Sometimes animals would get stuck on a wall, hiding characters would flash a frame before they would pop out, a hit wouldn't register or would register when you thought that it missed, little things like that. It by no means ruins the games at all, just something small that maybe Toys for Bob could fix in a patch. So for my final ratings, the first Spyro game overall gets a 10 out of 10. The level designs are spot on, the dragons are fantastic, and pretty much everything about it is just right. I can't really say anything bad against it. The second game gets an 8 out of 10. Like the first game, it's still great and is a bunch of fun. Ripto, as usual, is a fantastic villain, and the other main characters are awesome too. Just some really minor bugs and glitches are annoying, some character design changes are a bit off, and some jokes and minor character cues were missed. The third game gets a 9 out of 10. Like the others, it's a fun time and the side characters are a bunch of fun with some of the best level designs in the entire trilogy. Again, some minor bugs and glitches and performances hold it back from it being basically perfect. Overall, my final conclusion is this: if you have ever picked up a Spyro game and ever liked it, whether it be Skylanders, the Legend series, or anything in between, go out and get this game. If you love classic mascots like Mario, Crash, or Sonic, then also grab this game. I had a blast with it and I cannot believe it is finally here. As you may have known, I have covered Spyro content for a little bit now, and to see this come to life before our eyes is something I will never forget. Our purple dragon is back, and you all helped to get him here. I thank every single one of you for supporting this channel. This is not the end of Spyro, and neither is an end for me. Spyro is a keystone to this channel, and he forever will stay that way. My name is Canadian Guy A, and it has been an honor to do Spyro coverage for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please cue the extra.
Whee!